What's happening everybody, King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new single type cup video. Today I'm going to be showcasing Hypno as a sort of anti-meta Pokemon in this league. I thought this Pokemon could be quite interesting. Unfortunately you're going to see that I have a terrible moveset, and I was just kind of messing around with teams today. I had a pretty terrible day in terms of elo and matches won and lost. Overall I think I went 10 out of 25, one of the worst days I've had in a long time, and unfortunately like any team that I went for just was not working for me. You're going to see in this first match here, I'm actually running Umbreon in the lead, and sure enough, we have a Clefable lead. I was running Poison lead before and Steel lead, but you know, of course, as soon as I bloody change it out to Umbreon, I get like just completely countered here. So I was pretty annoyed. Obviously, Muck is, you know, not generally quite good against this thing, but the opponent just let it go. And I think that does give me a bit of an opportunity here to maybe shield up and like to try and take switch. The opponent's on Psychic as well. People running Psychic, of course, to hit the Poison types, and the opponent's maybe running like an ABB sort of style team, where they've got Clefable and two answers to Poison in the back. I realise this and try to preserve my Muck for the Clefable and see if I can take switch here and see what the opponent has in the back. So anyway guys, welcome to the video. Like I said, today was a rough one. I did get some wins with this team, and in comes Registeel. This is about the worst team you can possibly see with this team that I just decided to run arbitrarily. Umbreon's coming for here, it's going to get Focus Blasted, the opponent's up a shield, and at this point my only real option is to look to spam out a bunch of Last Resorts in this thing, and you're seeing that these Last Resorts do add up on this, and I don't think one Moonblast quite takes out Umbreon. Umbreon is a lot more common and popular in this cup than I thought it was going to be. I thought that nobody would be brave enough to run it in the you know, counter cup basically. I personally am not seeing that many counter users, however I am running teams that are fairly strong against them, so like maybe I'm just not seeing them unfortunately. Maybe let me know in the comments, are you guys seeing a lot of like Machamps? Generally what I was seeing a lot of yesterday in the lead was Umbreon and Machamp by far. Those are by far the two most common Pokemon that I've seen. Today I barely seen any, like whenever I was running like a Charm team, like a Charm Gramble lead, I didn't see any unfortunately, which is kind of why like if you don't RPS with that team you're just screwed basically. I was using Charm Gramble, didn't see any Umbreons, swapped out the teams a couple of times, and look at this matchup right here. I get completely hard countered left, right and center here, and we're actually taking the final shield off Registeel here. Now I believe I do have a move loaded on Muck. We do actually get to another move, and the opponent realizes of course that I do have a move on Muck, and the opponent is committing to the farm down. Hypno is quite thick, and somehow like I managed to win that match. Don't ask me how, but somehow I managed to win it. So at this point I realized, okay, Umbreon's not the play. You can see I went 1-4 and that's it. I'm down to 2180, I'm just getting RPS'd into oblivion. And we swap out the team, and of course we've got a bloody Haxorus. Like, I was getting so, honestly today I was getting so tilted, but we'll see how this match plays out. Out of the 10 wins I got today, I was using Hypno for around 12 matches, and I did manage to win 6 of those 12, including that one game with Umbreon in the lead. So overall, like, not very positive, but I think this Pokemon does have a lot of potential. I think it is definitely a very good anti-meta, but of course, like, as a content creator, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing all these poison backlines, I'm seeing all of these leads that, you know, are pretty common, like I'm seeing Machamp or Umbreon constantly, and just whenever you're trying to make a video on it, it just doesn't happen for you, which is a super frustrating thing about making videos. Of course, if I was not making videos, I would just spam out that one team from yesterday probably, with the double counter backline. So this team is pretty weak to a couple of things, so I think Hypno is a good option, because of course it just rips through Muck. You do have to watch out for Dark Pulse, but you can't eat it, and of course you do have to watch out for Cofagrigus. Once again, you can't eat it. Now, because of the Team Rocket event, I'm super low in TMs here, and yeah, it's not looking too great for me, unfortunately, in that respect. So I'm running Future Sight and Thunder Punch. You probably do want to run some of the Elemental Punches, and I would recommend going for a one nuke move. It says to go for double Elemental Punch. I would recommend either going Shadow Ball or Focus Blast, but this time we're on Future Sight, and we absolutely landed on this thing. This thing was not expecting a Future Sight, who would? And we're going to look to farm down this Haxorus here. Yeah, so I'd recommend going for that because, oh, the opponent's going to take us out. Can we get the counter down in time? Who knows? Let's find out. Yes, we do. So, yeah, I'd recommend going for one nuke move and, like, one sort of coverage move. So, like, Thunder, like, what is that resisted by? Ground types? I feel like it's just such a nice coverage move. Because, you know, of course you've got Fire Punch, which could be, you know, useful for Registeel, right? But that's why you're running Shadow Ball or Focus Blast. But it's only really the ground types, which are not that common in this league, that Thunder Punch would be resisted by. So I think it's just a good coverage move. I even have seen a few Blastoises and a few water types. They're pretty uncommon, but I did see a couple today. They're pretty, like, water in this cup is actually quite a neutral typing, because you don't really have that many good electric Pokemon. And with this cup being single typing, it's like, you know, of course there are multiple things that counter something, right? So like, Dark and Ghost counter Hypno. So generally using, like, in my opinion, in this cup, Generally using things that are only weak to one thing is better. That's where Hypno is a little bit tough. But you're seeing in this matchup right here, that Crunch is coming through and we're actually out farming them. Hypno is, Hypno, I called him Hypno. That was an accident. Hypno is Hypno. So yeah, in comes Figaro. If they respect the Focus Blast. And yeah, I think I would probably run this with Focus Blast. If you want my recommendation for a team, hopefully you've got yourself a little sheep boy from Go Battle League rewards at this point. I think a double normal team would be about the best option for this as like a lead Pokemon, leading Hypno, hoping to catch a Machamp on the front, and then looking to have 2 answers for Umbreon, and maybe running Shadow Ball, and like I said, Thunder Punch. So if you do happen to get the Koffa, which you will see a lot, it's a very common and good Pokemon in this league, you'll have the Shadow Ball for it, and then you'll have like you know, Vigoroth is not great. Like this particular team is pretty core broken by Koffa, so like what you would sort of do in that situation is try to like land 2 Bulldozes on it. They do add PSU to the Dark Pulse, but you can eat one on, like I said, Hypno, and you can eat one on Vigoroth, no problem. So I think like maybe a double normal team, with like a payback, a double, it could be a good option, because of course you do resist the Shadow Claws, and like those two Pokemon do really well against Umbreon, and generally they're only really weak to counter, and that's what your Hypno is kind of there to deal with. And again, you know, things like Shadow Gramble, as you just seen, you can spam off moves with Vigoroth, you can spam off moves with Double, and Hypno can actually just out-farm it, so I think that would be a good team, double normal. But in general, like, Hypno is quite difficult to run, or build around, so, you know, use it at your own risk, or you could go for, like, a double Psychic team if you wanted to, with, let's say, Mew or something. I think what I'm trying to do is commit to a farm down on this Machamp. Thankfully, they went straight for the Rock Slides, so I know that I can basically commit to the farm down. Now we're actually down 2 shields against Umbreon. At this point, we're going to look to fire off a Thunder Punch. This does not get a shield for some reason. I thought they were going to CMP me, so I let that false snarl through, unfortunately. I was a little bit maybe off track in energy. The opponent is going to fire off a move. I don't think this will quite take out unless it's a Psychic. The opponent goes for Foul Play, and we're going to come in here. In comes Granbull, and we're going to heavily outpace this thing to moves. We throw one and throw. Can we get another move off? We do not. And yeah, this might be a loss right here. Yeah, there's just nothing I can do against Shadow Granbull. If lined up incorrectly, like, you need sort of your full health muck against the full health thing. I know you're going to see a Coffin lead. I think I do decide to, I might switch out eventually to like Muck or whatever, like get it into Dark Pulse range and then swap out. Like we can eat that Dark Pulse pretty comfortably, and I'm going to try to overfarm as much as possible. But I think generally, like, you do just sort of have to play this out. If you do decide to copy this team, which I don't necessarily recommend, by the way, but if you do decide to copy it, you know, this is sort of what you have to do if you don't have a direct answer to Koffa. I go for the CMP here on the Bulldoze, and I'm just hoping they won't let it go. Like, please let go, thank you. So we go down a shield, and that's perfectly fine. Like, that's a big obstacle out of the way. I'm expecting them to have, like, some sort of an answer. They come in with Gramble, and they're not swapping out. So we're just going to farm this the whole way down. And the opponent has another Fairy type in the back. Get out of here with that bullshit. The double Charmers are coming through. And in comes Dragonair. This is an interesting lead. Generally, what I like to do is just out-spam this thing. So maybe consider, like, throwing this move, right? And then swapping out. I don't like Hypno as a safe swap generally. You get pretty wrecked by that. So I think just generally Muck is your safe swap on this team. Yes, we're going to go for Thunder Punch, even though resisted. It'll put this into a jab down range. I may consider like shielding this or letting it go. I think I decide to get the farm back on Vigoroth again. We'll see what we decide to do here. Yeah, we farm this the whole way down. Come out with almost a Body Slam. And here is a Blastoise. And this is like, you know, it's pretty rare to be fair. Like, it's rare to be fair. It is rare to be fair, but I do like to have the Thunder Punch. Like I said, it's just super neutral, and I think most people are expecting the PV Poke thing, like the Thunder or the Elemental Punches of Fire and Ice. I feel like Ice is, of course, good for dragons, but I don't think it's that useful overall. In comes the Ninetales here, using Ember. They let me get a full Confusion through. If you're using a 4-turn move, you do try to like let the opponents, you know, throw in bad timing and stuff, because that can help you get extra energy. The opponent let me get a full Confusion, I believe, there, and we're just going to fire these 2 moves straight off. We'll see if the opponent respects this one. They have no shield, so they do respect it. And can we live a Weller Ball? Like I said, Hypno is pretty thick, and it does not take us out, so good games. Hypno is nice. Like, I'm unironically calling it Hypno. I'm not actually trying to call it Hypno, but it's just stuck in my brain. So we go for one, that said. We had a couple of rough leads and a couple of hard counter games, and we managed to overcome them with this team, even somehow, just somehow. But you guys seen how I played it. Like, you just have to dance around a little bit with this team. I definitely recommend, if you do have access to Vigoroth and Double, try that out. I think it might be a little bit better. But like I said, generally, like I was seeing a lot of poison backlines, so that was kind of the idea of not leading Hypno. I feel like Hypno is just such a risky lead, so you could run some sort of EBA nonsense. Like, it is hard to build around, but I think given the right circumstance, Hypno can do really well for you. In comes a Mew, and we're going to look to spam off body slams. They're probably farming up to back-to-back wild charges, so I think what I might decide to do here is shield once on Vigoroth, and then look to catch it on Hypno. Yeah, wild charge number 1, Hypno coming through. We don't sneak the confusion, which is pretty sad, and in comes wild charge 2. As you can see, that does not hurt, and in comes Registeel. This is where you need that coverage move. Like, it tells you to go for Fire Punch. I guess Fire Punch would be good for this, but I would rather have the nuke move, just to really just put in some damage. Now, they're going to go for a Zap Cannon. I think this will come very close to taking out, but as you've seen, like, they do have a tough time farming Hypno down. They will get to it this time, and yeah, unfortunately, we're stuck on the wrong moveset. I could have went for like one Focus Blast, which would have threatened the opponent's final shield, but yeah, they don't have to shield anything, especially after seeing the first Thunder Punch. They don't have to shield anything. The opponent goes for the debuff, and back in comes Mew. Now I'm expecting this thing to dump another Wild Charge. This Pokemon's rough to deal with, so we're basically sacking Hypno, or sacking Muck at this point. We'll see what the opponent comes in with. Back in with Registeel, of course. I do go for the Dark Pulse, and we'll see what the opponent decides to do here. Hopefully they let this go. They do let it go, and they will be forced to throw a move here. So the opponent switch locked as well, so I'll definitely get the extra counter on Vigoroth. But Vigoroth is getting, okay, he's pretty healthy still, and then comes Dragonair. Can we outspam this thing? That is the question. This thing, it gets the moves in 12 turns, so we've got 2 Body Slams loaded, and they're already like a couple of Dragon Breaths ahead now, so they will definitely get to the move. So unfortunate, just definitely a bit of a rough line for us there. Definitely wasn't expecting Dragonair in the back. It's something you would more often see in the front, but I think they're trying to save a shield for that and look to close out the game with it. So yeah, GG's, well played by the opponent, and we're gonna hop into the next one and see what happens. Okay, so we've got Sato. Come on, Sato, let's see what you've got here. Umbreon. Okay, so we get a very good lead here, and we definitely need to see this Umbreon here. And this is the only time I've seen a poison type in the back the whole time I use this team. In comes this little Grimer. But this thing is pretty powerful, to be fair. Look at this Mud Bomb coming through. Like, they're actually like pacing us pretty well here. And they're gonna get off another Mud Bomb, so it's like, bruh. Or is this a Sludge Bomb? Yeah, so like, I only just about take this out. And again, this is where having the nuke would be amazing. I wasn't sure what energy I was on, so I ended up just throwing this thinking the Umbreon would be here. So yeah, that's fine. Again, that's where Focus Blast would be amazing, right? We'd get this thing into like below 50% health, put it into a farm down range for, you know, what I'd recommend to be like one of your 2 normal types, or whatever. You could go Machamp in the lead, but then you're, again, still pretty rough against Koffing. You know, so again, like, just try to think about it and try to build around this Pokemon, but yeah, like, unfortunately, that is the only poison type I've seen, and, you know, the farm down was not that satisfying, to be fair. Maybe it'd be better in the Shadow form. You'd get that farm down a little bit faster before they get 2 moves. But anyway, in comes Ninetales. This thing seems to be pretty decent, like, it's pretty spammy, with these Weather Balls. The opponent does take us out, and I'm just trying to put this all in Vigoroth. At this point, I needed to take out Umbreon. I'm going to shield once and try to farm it down. This thing is super spammy, but we're just getting to the Weather Ball. That's Umbreon up 2 shields, and you can see that we're almost at 3 Body Slams, so we should have no problem taking this out. Body Slam number 1, we're throwing after 1 each time to make sure they don't sneak any free Snarls. I do think I live, maybe just about. I'm not sure if I'd live a Psychic. I think I would probably live a Psychic. This thing is pretty bulky. So there you have it, folks. If anybody here was wondering, you know, is Hypno any good? Should I try building this Pokemon? Should I try running this Pokemon? I would say, you know, give it a try, but run it at your own risk. It's pretty alignment dependent, I would say. I would say, like I said, you know, don't really trust the PvPoke moveset. Try to build around it in a specific way. We're seeing a lot of people adapting movesets here, and in this final game here, we have Ninetales in the lead. But hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button. It's very much appreciated. Helps out the channel a ton. And subscribe as well. I want to say a big thank you for all the support in yesterday's video. This thing's on the wrong move, and in comes Lickitung. Once again, folks, like, this is where Focus Blast would just be absolutely ripping this thing to shreds. I think the opponent might respect the Focus Blast here, but Body Slam coming through doesn't do that much damage. We're going to fire off this Future Sight. The opponent does respect it, and they are trying to take Switch. We do get to one last Thunder Punch, which on this Vic Licky will not do too much. But again, like, in this cup, I'm just so surprised to see all these Pokemon. Like, why am I seeing Lickitung? Like, I guess it's really good against Koffing. That's like the only thing it's for, really. But again, this is just not what I anticipated for this cup at all. The Pokemon that we're seeing, like, was not expecting to see too many normal types that don't have counter. I was not expecting to see many Umbreons. You know, when you look at the top 10 of PvPoke and see that, what is it, 8 out of 10 Pokemon are using counter in the top 10. Not what I was expecting. And in comes Koffagrigus here. Again, like a bit of a core breaker, but we're head on energy and we're head on shields. We are very, very low health here, unfortunately. And I know the opponent has a move, so like I can't really shield it. I was trying to live it and, you know, get off the move, but yeah, I just had a lot of these sort of matches with this team. And like I said, you can adapt accordingly. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for a brand new video.